I said I was gonna do something, and I forgot. Because I was supposed to be in South Hill, because today's September 28th, the 5th year
Year 5.
of passing of my father, your brother. And for some reason, I think he buried himself there, so that we have to do what we're getting ready to do.
Well, he was doing a lot of it, and there's a pile of paper back in my office somewhere, but
See, this I didn't.
it was all mostly back before Ancestry and back before really good sources. So
I didn't know that, because now I'm hearing it, that he had put in a significant amount of effort into what was going on in that cemetery in South Hill. And he must have thought a lot of it, since that's where his final resting place is. So
he apparently thought about it. Didn't tell the rest of us he was thinking about it, but
it sparked me to figure out who is buried in the Chavis Cemetery.
Who is buried? Well, we saw there are a few names that are readable on the headstones and whatnot. But I don't know, there's a couple of interesting ones in there. But I'm not sure where you went. You didn't want to go the Baskerville one, did you?
No, because I think with this whole project, because we're gonna go back as far as I can with Ancestry.com and with the book, well, at least the article that you sent me, which is a chapter
Right.
in a book that you
Right.
bought.
Yeah.
When was the last time you bought a book?
Yeah, it's been a while. There's this guy, Paul Henning, and Paul Henning has been for years, many years, maybe 20 years, has been putting out, this is the 5th edition, but he's been putting out a series of books called Free African Americans of North Carolina, Virginia, and South Carolina.
Senecam can get that probably.
From, here it is. Oh, you can't read it, but
Yeah.
at any rate, it basically goes from the colonial period to about 1820. So, and basically, it's organized by family. So it's free African Americans in these southern states from 1820 back, and there's about 30 pages of Chavises, the Chavis family. And it goes back. The first one he's got in there is Thomas Chivers, born in 1627.
You want to start with Thomas?
No, we can't start there. But the point is that there are a lot of Chavises, and basically the Chavises, the Chavuses, they spelled it very, very different ways depending on. But the Chavises were given land in various places in Virginia, and one of the places was in Mecklenburg County or Lunenburg County. Lunenburg County, well, some of it's in North Carolina, some of it's in Virginia, but at some point a line was drawn like in 1750s or something, and Mecklenburg County has been stable since that time. So the borders have been fixed in Mecklenburg County for quite a while, 1750s on. So it's interesting, but.
So that's the book is a very important piece of what I try to do in trying to track down the Chavis ancestry, because mostly what I did was do Ancestry.com, and Ancestry.com, the U.S. Census lists names, household members, children. It has specific names. The interesting thing about that is it only goes back to 1850, and that's for some reason when they started putting names of the household on the census. Prior to that, the 1840, the 1830, 1820, 1810 census, they were only putting head of household names and then how many people, how many free people, how many how many slaves.
Tell us the story about the 1810 census.
Oh, that's your story.
All right.
Well,
I was telling you I had forgotten about the War of 1812, and basically the British burned records. So in Mecklenburg County and in others, I guess they got as far as Richmond. So any records that the Brits could get at in 1812, they burned up. So the census records are basically missing. The 1810 and 1820 census records from Mecklenburg County have been destroyed. But there were other records that you found where you could reconstruct some of who was who and who was living where and what the family relationships were.
So it's been 6 months since you were sitting down here naming aunts and uncles.
Right.
We get ready to name great grandparents right now, but let's start with the 19. Just so I physically have something to show. We have the 1920 census.
1920 census.
And you're looking at that now. What's on the actual census?
I have to take my glasses off again, but basically this is my grandfather and grandmother
named
John H. Chavis. It says he's the head of house, and Sally Beth, she's the wife.
How old are they?
And he is 35 or 30 something. I can hardly read it, and she is 25. And then they have living with them Anne, Helen, Mary Magdalene, and Sally. And they're all the daughters. And Anne is 4. My mom, Helen, is 2. Mary Magdalene is 1 and something, some fraction. And Sally is a month old, my goodness. And also the strange one I just saw was that also living with them is Cephas Brown, who is marked here as brother-in-law, but he is Sally Betts' brother, Cephas Brown, and he's 27 years old and single. And they have him listed as helper. And I think what that might have to do with Cephas, I don't know when it happened, but Cephas lost an arm. I think in farming equipment or something, he lost an arm. So he might have been, he was living with them. And then the other folks that are living in the house are Charles C. and Sophie, which are Grandpa's parents. And he is Charles C. Charles C. Chavis is 58, and Sophie, his wife, is 45. And that's who is in the house in the actually 1920 census.
1920. So that I was the next thing I was going to have you do is verify your grandfather's parents, but if it's on the census,
it's on
and.
Well, yeah.
And also the Exhibit 1, it was the death certificate of John H. Chavis. Died January 13th, 1959. It lists his parents as Charles C. Chavis, and mother Sophia Alexander,
right.
Bracy, Virginia. The probably the most interesting part of this is that he's buried at Christ Church Cemetery, according to the death certificate. You see that at the bottom?
Christ Church, yeah, I see that. Yeah. Red Lawn, Christ Church in Red Lawn.
Yeah,
that's a little ways away from
the cemetery.
Yeah,
I thought it was in Red Lawn.
Well, we'd have to look at the map, but I think it could be classified as Red Lawn, I guess. Don't know. So Christ Church.
So I'm building a tree. So the tree now comes from Dennis to Helen to Sally Bett, John Chavis, and then the second part is Sophie Alexander and Charles.
Right.
So
Charles Chavis, right?
So the next thing I have as Exhibit 2,
right,
is the death certificate of Charles Chavis.
And that one is showing
even box 3 and 4, male, colored, married.
Right. And date of birth is 1863. 61 years old, farmer.
Bright disease.
Yeah,
We gotta look that up.
Look that one up.
Yeah, I'll have that. I'll have that for you. But here's the I guess the most important part of this document that I wanted to put was their parents.
The parents, John Chavis, Mecklenburg County, and Mary Chavis, Mecklenburg, Virginia.
And the date of death is December 1922.
1922.
And Charles Chavis, is also buried at the same cemetery and has the Fagans as the funeral home, or the informant anyway.
Fagans, yes. It's hard to read those dates. Fancy handwriting, but hard to read now.
Yeah. So and Sophie Alexander as wife. Mother is Mary and John Chavis.
Right. And then let's see, where could you go? Where did you go after that?
I went to you could go a bunch of places, but I went to the 1860 census, which has John H. Chavis. At least one of them is John H. Chavis, which would be
I see him.
The father of Charles Chavis.
Right.
You following?
Yep, I am. So John H. Chavis he's born in 1834. So, right. So 1834, it's 30 years before the Civil War. Different times, I'm sure.
Did you see on there what his, and I think this is probably pretty important, what his occupation is?
It says wheelwright.
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 What's a wheelwright? What the hell's a wheelwright?
We'll have to look that one up, but I think a wheelwright is, I guess, somebody that, I guess the only mode of transportation back then was wagons, wagon wheels.
I think, they weren't rubber wagons, so it was probably
these are
wooden spokes.
Wooden spokes with either a wooden. Well, even back then when we were going down there, it was wooden wheels and spokes with big hub and but a metal rim of some sort.
Oh, you make me laugh.
Yeah.
Are you saying that when you were down there, they had wheels that didn't have rubber?
Yeah.
This
is wooden wheels with a metal band around the track.
Yeah.
That's.
I can picture it, but I can't. I didn't know you.
It's a wooden wheel. That's what a wheelwright did, I guess. Yeah. You built a wheel with wooden, like a wagon wheel. You never saw a wagon wheel without.
No, I know what it is. I'm just saying you were around to see it. That surprises me.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
Well,
that's that.
You're almost 80.
They have wagons. They have wagon wheels.
If you can skip, because it is out of order.
That's all right.
The marriage record.
Marriage record. Okay, got that one. John H. to Mary Kersey. Let's see. All right, so John again is the one that was born in 1834.
Right. He married a Mary Kersey.
And she was born in 1836.
And they're the parents of. You didn't know this was gonna be a quiz.
Yeah, I did not.
John H. and Mary were married in 1857. They're the parents of Charles.
Okay.
your great grandfather's Charles.
Okay.
If I say so, right?
All right.
So we have him as a wheelwright on the 1860 census, married to Mary, age 24 and 26. That's on the census.
Got it.
1860. So I put on the second 1860 census. You skipped it. Remember, you went too far. I didn't. The second 1860 census has Jacob on it.
Jacob and Martha.
Jacob and Martha.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. This is the 1860 census.
Right. So that has Jacob and Martha, age 52 and 48. Do you see that? The last family on there.
Yeah, I see it. Jacob Chavus, he's 52, and Martha is 40 something.
What's his occupation?
Wheelwright.
He says his wheelwright.
Wheelwright. Another wheelwright.
So from the 1860 to the 1870 census is not going to have a connection until you look at the next one, which is the 1850 census. We went out of order a little bit.
All right. I think I got shuffled. Okay. The 1850 census?
Yeah.
Got it. John Henry.
So we'll have to come back and do that again. So 1850 census, it has Jacob Chavis, age 42, meaning he's born in 1808. It's got Martha Chavis, born age 35, so she's 1815 or 1814. But the most important part there is the second son, which is John. He's age 16 in 1850, which makes him 34. So, by deduction, I have Martha and Jacob Chaffis as John's parents.
Okay, and John, which John?
John Henry, born in 1834.
Right.
The father of Charles.
Got it.
So I have his parents as Jacob
and
Martha.
And Martha.
And then if we went back to the 1860 census, it would make more sense. Then they're a little old.
Oh, cool. Then where did you go? How did you get to the next one?
Mwene wando kala benyaba emengondo yanye namona mwenye iso yaweza mona mwenye